And I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I have aunts, my parents were entrepreneurs. And then there is a passion that I have for helping other people reach that level that seems unreachable if you're not around the right people. So I wanted to start a series to help everyone brand themselves. And you ask, what is branding? Okay, first of all, if we go from a biblical aspect, God desires, he does not desire for us to um, be borrows, but he wants us to be lenders. So in order to get to that place, we have to do something that goes beyond what we're used to. And just bear with me here. Send me a little comment. Let me know you're there. Ask your questions, and I'll try to answer those. But let me know that you're here. So one of the first things that it is very important for you to do in order to establish a brand. And like I said, I'll introduce to you what a brand. A brand is going to establish who you are, what your entity is, what your expression is, um, and everything about you and your business. Okay. Now, a business can range from you being a sole proprietor, where you're just one. You might be one that does a special skill. It might be landscaping, cosmetology, hair braiding, nails. It could be maybe you make product and you sell those. Maybe you're finding some skills that you didn't know that you had. You're finding that right now. Maybe that's the case. Whatever that case may be, um, I want to introduce you to how you can establish your branding to make yourself known, and put yourself in the midst of you'll be in the midst of a lot of competition no matter what field you're establishing. So I want to tell you how to succeed in that area. I am not by far a legal advisor. I'm not by far selling this type of service. I'm providing information. It's information of education that I've had, and then I can let you know how Higher Ground Production and Media can help you. So, what you want to do is you want to ask, who is your audience? Who is your audience? And I'm looking at my notes here, so bear with me. Who is your audience? You want an example of that would be people. What age group? What age group are you dealing with? Are you trying to reach rather? Um, for example, if you are one that maybe let's just say you have a tutoring service, you're not going to want to reach adults per se unless your tutoring is around adults that are applying for maybe the GED test or something. So your age group will be school age. If you're trying to establish a business where you provide services to people that are less able to handle those services, so you might want to establish a business. Your age range might be older for seniors. Um, Hi, Kat. If you have any questions or concerns, put those in the comments. I'm glad to see that you're letting me know you're here. Catherine, I like to promote people that have business. Catherine is an author, and a great speaker and a great poet. So um, I'm going to let you guys know that have your businesses right now, what I can do to help you grow that. But right now, this is information. So the first step, and send something in the comments, let me know that you're gathering this information, is to know who your audience is. You do not want to go into any type of business. Hey, cousin, you do not want to go into any type of business and you're not knowing who your audience is. Um, because you might start marketing, like if you have an audience that is, let's just say, low income, you don't, and that's who you are trying to target. is to help the low income, then you don't want to be going into a suburb area to advertise, to market. So you need to know who your audience is. What type of information is important to that particular group? How to reach them. So, for example, when I design a logo, when I design a flyer, when I design a marketing tool, a print media, whatever it may be, a small video, whatever it may be for advertising, you're going to want to appeal to whatever whoever that audience is. So you have to know who they are. Hi, Mary. Nice to see you. You also want to know what your audience thinks about what you're doing. Now, in one of our future videos, we'll get into a new way that business plans kind of operate. When I first did my first business plan in 2009, for my wedding and event planning business, when I first did that plan, I took it to an advisor. They loved it and everything, but that was the old school method. There's a whole new school method of doing business plans, and it's called experimental. So you take you experiment with your brand, you experiment with your business, and see if the service is needed. See if the service is being introduced to the proper audience. But we'll get into that in a future video. And then you want to know what your audience thinks about your brand in the midst of the presentation. So you want to survey. Okay. So again, we're talking about branding yourself, branding your business, branding. It might just right now be you want to market yourself for a good job. You know what I'm saying? For a leadership role. Myself, I am in a leadership role. I run a branch, direct a branch for individuals with disabilities. So all of my workers, shout out to you all. You are essential. We're all essential. I appreciate all that you're doing to put yourself on the front line for our individuals with disabilities. But there became a point where I had to brand myself. I had to market how I could own that position because I never had a position like that per se before, not at that level. It's the same concept when it's coming to your business. There's all kinds of other businesses out there. If you're a baker, there's all kind of bakers, but what makes yours different? So you might need to cater to a different audience. The second step is you want to detail your flow of ideas. Detail your flow of ideas. You want to basically, excuse me, you want to give them the information about what your idea is, but you want to put it in a way that they'll remember. Okay. And a lot of times that's going to be that first impression. You want to market in the right area. You want to know your audience so that you can express your ideas to the right set of people at the right time, at the right place, in the right format. And your format may not be an initial website right off the top. Your format might be a business card with the right type of logo, the right color, the right font. That's important too. The right information, that might be it might just be your phone number really big and your name on the back. Something eye catchy. But you're going to have to establish your flow of your idea, and you're going to only have a brief amount of time to do it, to introduce, to make yourself stand out from everybody else. Then you want to explain what you want to convey to your audience, your true message. What is the purpose of this brand? What is the purpose of you displaying who you are, what your business is? Or like I said, even if you're just applying for a executive position, you want to establish why you stand out. It's the same concept with a business. And what you want to also convey your brand in a way that is eye catchy. Okay. So what is the difference between a brand and like the logo, for example? The brand is kind of what sticks with you. It's a slogan. It's a feature. it's something that you specialize in. That's your brand. That's who you are as that business entity that belongs to you, that makes you stand out above the other businesses. And so jumping in here with HGPM, Higher Ground Production and Media, what I like to do when I sit down to design a logo for someone is I ask them three questions. I ask them, what is your vision? What is your business, or, your church, whatever it is, what is it about? And what is your goal? What is your goal? Um, a lot of times, if people examine, well, I want it to look like this, I want it to be like this. But when I get that vision, I try to capture your vision and then put that in the form of a print format. Um, so you kind of have to know you have to do all that before you go any further. Okay. When I established in 2009 EDI, Ebony's Divine Impressions, a wedding and event planning business, I know where I'm living at right now, it's not a very prominent business. I could go and pick up to a bigger city and probably would have prospered in that. But it was my learning business. I learned a lot from that because I went out there and I did some things. I went out there because I knew I wanted to do this. Yes, I had a good business plan, but I did not do the branding and all that first. So I took something that was a passion, something that I enjoyed, and I turned it into a business per se, but it was more of a business entity. I didn't really profit much. I used a lot of it to basically build a portfolio, if that makes sense. So you have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to fail at the beginning. I know it sounds wrong because with God, Christ, we can do all things, and with Him, we won't fail. But when I use the word fail, I'm not saying in the sense of seeing yourself as a failure, but seeing in the sense of you're not going to make tons of money at the beginning. You're not going to have tons of clientele. You're not going to have tons of customers. But if you hang in there and you spend time on the back end before you even go out to the public and establish your brand, invest your money in marketing, invest your money in advertising. The difference between the marketing and advertising is a lot of times the marketing is done before the advertising. You're marketing yourself. You're marketing your skills. Um, so an example of, let me just go back to EDI, Ebony's Divine Impressions. Okay. Higher Ground Production and Media was established in 2015. EDI was established in 2009. Like I said, I feel like that was my first attempt at business, and it didn't go the greatest. It's still a business entity, but I do every once in a while I'll do an event or something else here. But my passion is to help other people establish their businesses and to be that person to give them the tools to do so. Um, so one of my things that I did was I established what my initial problem was. The initial problem that needed to be solved. Every business entity, everything that you do, even as an individual, again, apply this to your own self as far as building yourself, whether you're in school right now in college, whether you're trying to grow in your field, use these pieces of information. Um, you have to know what the problem is that needs to be solved. Because if there's not a problem, nobody's going to seek you out for your help or your business or pay for a service. So I like to use something that's really familiar to everybody, and that is our industry of either clothing, fashion, or our industry um, of right now we're all sitting here like I gotta get my twist up my hair. There's certain things that are a problem, and a problem is somebody always needs a pair of pants to put on. Okay. We can't go outside without the pair of pants. Adam and Eve ruined that for us. So we have to be dressed. So that is a problem. Okay. So, um, yes, Rita, every product and service is meant as a solution. Exactly. Thank you. That is a good point. As I was saying, because it is very important that you identify what the problem is. If you go out and you try to establish a brand in a business or establish yourself in an area and you don't know what solution you're offering to anybody, then that's already an issue. So you want to be able to find out what that problem is. So let's say you have a passion for, I'm just going to throw out something, crocheting. And I'm not talking about hair crocheting. I'm talking about like crocheting with the crochet needle, everything to make things. So right now would be a perfect time because you can crochet some masks. You know what I'm saying? That would be a perfect thing to do right now because the problem is there is a surplus needed and there is not very much PPE available. So the solution would be this would be the ideal time if we go back to what I stated earlier as far as your flow of ideas. Your flow of ideas would be received right now because a lot of people would purchase those. So timing is very important and knowing what the problem is. And like Rita said, every product and service is meant as a solution. So you have to know and identify what the problem is that needs to be solved and how you are going to make a difference to solve that problem. What makes you be able to solve that problem better than somebody else could solve it? Because there's competition. That leads me to something else that you want to do before you start your brand. Research your competition, but don't research the ones that get 2 stars and three, and 1 star. Find out the best competition that's out there. Find that person. Find that business. Find out who you're competing with. When you interview for a job, you should even find out who your competition is. There's ways to do that too. That's for a whole nother video. Because when I was interviewing, I've been in my position for a year and a half now. When I was interviewing for it, I remember walking out and I saw my competition in the lobby competing for the same director position. And before my second interview, I found out what it was that I was competing against, who I was competing against without asking. Um, but anyway, I'll talk about that in another when we get into depth about how to establish your business. So you want to, so we talked about the solution, um, the problem and the solution. So now we're going to talk about how to, and I lost my train of thought here. Let me go back to my thoughts here. So it is your responsibility to make the process less stressful or to eliminate a problem for someone, and to be mindful of the budget. So that's where it took me at the competition. You need to know who you're competing with. Who is the best? If you're going to open up a retail store for, um, okay, let's just take it from a humorous perspective. Let's say you're gonna open up a synthetic hair store, a hair store for, I don't know why I'm stuck there, probably because I need to retwist my hair. But anyway, let's say you're going to open up a beauty supply store. Go and find out how you're gonna be able to. Okay, because really, literally, let me tell y'all this. I'm gonna be all the way plain with you. People gravitate towards what they're familiar with. If they see just someone that is not from a certain culture open up something like that, you're going to have to come really hard because people are going to gravitate to where they're familiar with. If you have, for example, Burlington, and this is not that advertisement for Burlington, but you have Burlington, right? And then I start opening a retail store right next to Burlington. What is going to make the people come into my store versus going into Burlington and I have the same items, right? So that's where branding comes in. That's why commercials and signage, and there's certain colors used in marketing materials and signs. Certain colors appeal. If you pay attention to the food industry, they use a lot of yellows and orange colors in their advertisements. They use a lot of reds. Those are things that appeal to an appetite. They activate certain things in your brain to make you think that you're hungry. Okay. And it's a whole little process that happens. So it is very important that branding be the first step that you do. Find out who you are. What's your slogan? What is the solution that you're coming up with, and to what problem? And so when I did my wedding planning business, when I wrote out all of that, my solution was to relieve the stress of the brides. Okay. Um, because as the professional, I don't have the weight and the I don't have the weight, cat. I like that. I don't have the weight of the wedding if it's not mine. So I was able to relieve that stress. I also became a counselor and everything. And shout out to Tamara Goodman, because she was my first bride that whose wedding I did. I'll make sure I tag her in this. She was my first testimonial. She was actually my very first, and they've been married a while. She was my very first wedding that I did. It was in a big Catholic church. So shout out to her. Um, and then one of the final steps that I want to go over with you after you research your competition and you take note of the competition, and I mean their prices, their what is bringing people, read their reviews, read their bad reviews and their good reviews, compare. Okay. Then the last thing is you want to make sure that you are centering your brand around the convenience of the customer. Does that make sense? So when I say that, when you're starting to establish your business, when you're doing all this type of things, right now, it would not make sense for somebody to go out and open a retail store for people to walk into because we can't go into a store right now. Okay. But it would make sense that those of you out there that have a gift, a skill, that you right now would establish your online business, online things. You know, this right now, this is a good time for service industry. And what I mean is people that are offering a service. Shout out to Rita and her PE classes that she's doing. Um, Shout out to Kat and her poetry and book. This is a good time to do a service industry. Shout out to Whitney. She's on here to do her cosmetology. I know she does cosmetology, but a thing that you could do, people that are in that, is provide educational services so that people can maintain their own um, hair, nails, whatever it may be, while they're unable to come into the facility. Because believe me, they're gonna come. And they ain't gonna want to do it once the everything is released. Um, so right now is a good time to do service industry. Find a service that you can offer to people for a slight fee, and that also gives you that opportunity to help somebody else. It might be tutoring online. Um, I'm gonna do another video of how easy it is to establish a sole proprietorship. And there are certain things, you know, that you are going to need an actual license to do, and then there are certain things that you're also going to want to make sure that you um, get certain registrations to do. But there is a lot that you can do as just a mere sole proprietor and registering yourself as a business entity. So that's one of the background steps you want to do first. After you establish your brand, right before you start working on your marketing, you want to establish it with the government, and it's a website away. If you're doing something that leave your sole proprietor's instructions all on there. I can provide you instructions later. You can inbox me. I can give you instructions on what you probably need to look into getting licenses for, registrations for, certificates for, or what you can go ahead and establish as a sole proprietor. Um, so I'm hoping that this is blessing you all. I'm not going to be before you much longer, but I want to encourage you, use this time to establish. Use this time to go forth. If you do have a business entity and you're needing, business cards or advertising, websites, little slight commercials to put up on YouTube, whatever it may be, your YouTube branding, whatever it may be, reach out to me. I'm running specials right now to be able to help people establish their entity, because this is the perfect time to do it. And then when everything lifts, then you will be already up and running. So use your time wisely. But this is just part one of establishing your brand. I will announce when I'll come back for part two. And then on part two, we'll also go into a little bit of more information about sole proprietorships. That is where I'm very familiar with, because that is what both of my businesses are, sole proprietorships. Both of my names are registered with our local and with the state, so no one else can take those names. Um, and then we'll talk about copyright versus trademark. We'll talk about a couple other things. So if you have any questions, make sure that you inbox me, and I'll be sure to research for you. And those of you that are my friends on here, I'm redoing my dreads, growing them back out. Gotta throw that in there because they would be all the way down my back right now. But anyway, I also want to shout out to some of the other business owners that I know on here, and one of those would be Nyosha. Support her. I'll tag her. Kat says she's an author. I don't have time for marketing. Well, Kat, get with me. I'm running specials right now. That's what I'm here to do. I want to market your business. I want to market your brand. You need to establish a brand. We can talk one on one. We can do a video chat, and we can just talk about what some of your goals are on establishing your brand. And if you share this video for me, any of you that are needing assistance with establishing a brand, I will offer you a free service. If you get some likes on here and promote this, so that we can get all of our brothers and sisters on board of not just sitting around and sitting on your gift. Don't sit on your gift. um, I'm not a person that goes live often unless I'm doing something for church, as you know. And right now it's nighttime. Look, I got my coffee. I'm exhausted, but I feel like the Lord put this down in my spirit to get on here. Um, I'm also a person, I can help you find deals. Like I got a $170 printer yesterday for $50. So God is great. I Before I do any work, I pray about it and I seek God on what to create for that person. Shout out to Elder Tion, or Pastor Tion, and Brianna. They recently used my services for their church ministry, and I appreciate their patronism. And just spread the word while you're sitting there. If there's anything that I can do, even if it's just advice, inbox me. If I don't have the answer, I'll point you in the direction of somebody that does. I do have some connections with some other people, and if they can't give you the answer, then I'll point you in the direction of the legal answer. I mean the state answer for each state. But for the state of Indiana, you know, I've been a sole proprietor since 2009. And so that's when I got introduced into sole proprietorship. But please, please, please tune in for our next branding video, and I'll be sure to keep you guys posted. Please share and keep up on my page, because I'm going to be cash apping some people. I'm going to be doing some promotion things on my page. So thank you, and you all have a blessed night. Hey, fans, family, and friends. Thank you for joining us today. I hope this inspired you to go out there and make your mark in the world. Hey, and don't forget to hit subscribe at the bottom of the screen. Let's get it boosted up there. And that also gives you more chances to win cash prizes and other fun items that will help you grow your business. And don't forget to visit us on Facebook and to like our page. Have a great day.